Shoo, it's nasty hot. I'm in this rehab unit. Contractor, my buddy, he's already gone through and put the counter sinks in and stuff. Baseboards. Bathroom's all pretty. He did a really fantastic job on his bathroom. It was a lot of work, trust me, a lot of work. But I gotta go put all the baseboards in real quick. And new thermostats. I gotta put new thermostats in. And then I've got to figure out what's up with this box. It's one of them painted. This box is actually leaned out, leaned in, whatever. So it's got to be pulled in so that the AC will drain properly. Get brand new AC there. Whew. It's that dry, sticky, hot heat right now. We don't have a lot of humidity right now. It's like, I don't know, it might be about 45% humidity. That's been going on all freaking day. Anyways, people having heat stroke stuff. Anyways, let's get these heaters in, get thermostats on, get that AC box fixed, and get this rolling, man, because it's hot. Let's get this going, man. Oh, shout out to, he sent me some new tools, man. So he sent me some tools. I really appreciate that. That was super cool. As long as I stay all in the same color. No, he sent me the little ones. That's right. He sent me these. I already had the big ones. But shout out to him. I appreciate it. Appreciate you, man. So let's get to work. Let's use these tools, man. So, ready to go to work, man? Let's get to work. So we're gonna have to take this countertop out, unbolt it, disconnect the sink, yank the countertop out. Same thing over here because of that. Two little burn spots. Boss says pull it. That's what I get paid to do. So this one here is not too hateful. I got to looking, and it looks like they cut the countertop just in front of that tile. So I might be able to, yeah, because you can see there's a gap, right? So looks like what I'll do with this is I will take the sink out and I will cut it here and cut it back there, and that way the two pieces can be separately removed. Gotta think outside the box. It's easier to pull it out than put it in, you know? No, it's easier to put it in than it is to pull it out. Anyways, yeah, because that way I'll be able to break away from all the caulk, and because they've got some heavy duty caulk and stuff in there. So that's how we're gonna do it. First, we are going to disconnect the sink, all the plumbing, drop the drains, unbolt the sink, and pull it out. Cool. So the first thing I need to do is disconnect my two drains. I'm not draining out the P-traps. I just need to pull the drains loose. So just pull this nut off. Well, actually I can go to the top one. Just get rid of this. And disconnect here. Well, you ain't gonna play nice. Looks like it's twisted in there sideways. Bad if somebody put some sealer on there. That's a tight fit now. Ooh. I think they put some kind of glue on there. Yep. Okay, so garbage disposable. So all you need to do is get hold of the top and spin it like that. And now it's disconnected. Spin it around, and I'm gonna lift it up to get it out of the drain. Maybe. If they didn't glue this in too. Looks like they did. Oh my gosh. They glued every bit of it. So that's alright, I'll just take screws out. It's got 2 screws. We'll just leave the drain intact and find the hole. Take screw out. Same thing on this side. Just catch the weight. There we go. That's at an odd angle. That's fine. I should have just taken these out to begin with. But that's alright. So, wow. That's turned on. How about that? It's locked up. We'll have to fix that. Anyways, so my 2 drains are disconnected. This is not a big important fact right now. We'll take care of this later. So the reason why I did it this way is that way I can get to the water line so that I don't have to fight the drains. So I'm gonna go ahead and spin this out of the way. Shut the water off. Them some old valve. And now we'll disconnect the drains or sinks. Oh. Cool. That water in that drain smells like urine. Like somebody pissed in the sink. You know what I mean? I ain't touching it. Anyways, okay, so then the 2 water lines, you just disconnect those and then we'll unbolt the sink. Okay, so to get the sink mounted, you have these screws, these little clips underneath the sink. Most of the time they're flathead. Just back it off. See if I can get it back off. I have to take it all the way out. It's just, well, this one probably have to. Oh. Well, that's name clipped in right. My bad. Okay. See how that's clipped in? It's catching the countertop. The other side wasn't. So, and it looks like they've run silicone all the way around the corner. So let's take all these little clips out and we'll pull the sink. Cool? See if I can get this one loose. One-handed. Okay. So when you get it loose, it has a groove. You just have to slide it down to the groove and then it falls out. See how that works? It's got a little groove right there. Let's get you in there. Normally the sink will pump right up, but I think they siliconed it down. That could have been bad. That could have been bad. Thank God I have my gloves on. Whew. That could have went bad. That's the reason why I never silicone a freaking sink down. You know what I mean? What if this had been okay countertop, the sink maybe went bad and I had to replace the sink for some odd reason. Now I would have had to been out here replacing the whole freaking countertop because somebody decided to glue the freaking sink down. I have never seen the purpose for that. Anyways, so what we'll do now is I cut it here and I cut it there. On top of that, there was no mounting strip in the front. I'll show you a trick for that when it comes to putting the sink mounting rim. When it comes to installing these on the front of the sink when you don't have any room, because they didn't shim this up or nothing. This is sitting flush right on the countertop or the cabinets. So what I usually do is on this front wood, here, I will actually route that out just a small spot, enough for this to go into a groove to catch the countertop. That way you're pulling the front of the sink down. Because right on how they had it installed, they just glued it down. These weren't even hooked on there, they were actually turned backwards. So yeah, it's a little trick to routing out the back of the countertop, because you'll never see that anyways. So on your sinks or cabinetry, in 90% or most of your cabinets, you'll have a little piece of plastic like this in the corner, like this, and that's what the sink mounts, or the countertop mounts to the cabinets. So you have to go around and pull all the screws out of the bottom, and a lot of the times you'll have them in the cabinets back there in the very corner. There's one. I'll get the light and I'll show you. See back there in the corner how that screw's going up through there and catching the countertop? That's how they got it mounted. They didn't put one there. And then your dishwasher's mounted the same way. So back there in the corners, we're gonna be mounted. Back there's a screw, and there should be a screw right there, and there's a screw back there. So you just take your drawers out, or you slide underneath them and get those screws out, and that's how the countertop is mounted down. Cool? Let's get to pulling this. So the next thing you want to do, of course you could also do this on the old countertop, but I just start from scratch, is that I will find the center of this cabinet. My base sink is always 36 inches, right? Half of 36, fold your measuring tape in half, is 18-ish. So you go 18 inches to the center. So you go 18 inches to the center, right? Let's put a mark there. Get my pencil in. We put 18-inch mark right there. Okay. Now, this is the center of my sink. This is where I need the center of my sink to be. So I'm gonna go from the left wall, from the tile, to the center of that, to that mark, and I'm at 41 3/4. That's the center of my sink. So on the new countertop, you imagine yourself standing in front of the sink, go from the left, 41 3/4, and put a marker right there. Just use a pencil, don't use a pen. I like to put one in the back too. 41 3/4. Now just to double check, I'm gonna go ahead and measure the other direction too. From the other direction, I'm 53.5. Okay? So I know that that end's got to be cut down. So 53.5, I'm gonna mark it right there. Okay? And then on my countertop, I'm gonna mark it. So from the center of my sink to the end of the wall where the tile is, 53.5. So I have an extra 1 inch of countertop, which is fine because I got chip on the end of it. So next we will mark this off, and we'll have to cut this off, and then we will mark for the placement of the new sink. I'll run that to the shop and get the new sink. So the center mark that I put here for the center of the sink in the cabinet, I also put it back there. You can see it inside. This is the center of the faucet, right? Because you got your sprayer, hot, cold, whatever, you know what I mean? So it's your center hole. So this is the tricky part. Not really, but for some people it's gonna be tricky. So I like to have a gap at the back, okay? So I'll slide this forward, not too far, but I like to have about a finger's width gap between the metal and the backsplash. You know what I mean? It just, and most of the time I will just eyeball this or place my finger there, and I can tell which side needs to be just slightly tweaked. That feels about right, okay? Then again, I've got it dead center on my mark here, and I got my mark in the front. So now I'll take my pencil and I'll go around the perimeter of the sink. Okay. Now, if you're doing this on a dark countertop, something that's hard to see where you can't see the pencil, normally I will take tape and lay tape down and then lay the sink on it and make my marks. But I don't see any tape laying around here. So it's probably going to be hard for you to see this. So just try to keep up. Okay, so my mark I put is the outside diameter of the sink. So and you only have about, I think it's about a 1/4 inch. Yeah, it's about 3/8 of an inch. So between this rail, which is where your mounts go, and the outside lip, the outside edge of the lip, you only have 3/8 of an inch. So what I like to do is move the sink back about a 1/4 inch. Okay, so I moved the sink over a 1/4 inch, and I'm gonna remark it. Okay, all the way around. I'm gonna do the same thing. Plus, where the rail stops on each end, I like to put a pencil mark there, and we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay. Okay, so I've gone all the way around the sink. I have my outer mark and my inner mark. Inner mark is where I want to cut, okay? You don't have a lot of wiggle room on these sinks. So where I marked it on each corner for where the railing stops, I will come back about a ½ inch from it and make a triangle. Okay, that's what I don't want. I don't need to cut this out. Okay, I can leave that there. I call that my corner supports. Okay, so you have your inner mark and your outer mark. Your outer mark is what, that gap between the inner mark and the outer mark, that's what your sink's going to be mounted on. It's going to be hanging from this rim. So that's the reason why it's real important, don't cut outside. So we want to get rid of all this in the middle. The easiest, so this gives you your platform. This is where your sink's going to sit, okay? So what I want to do is I want to drill a hole through this on each corner. That way it gives me a reference point, and that's where I'm going to cut from. I always cut from the back. If you try to cut from the front, you'll end up chipping this Formica top. Okay, so at each corner you have the triangle, right? Each corner you have your inside line and the outside line. So what I want to do is go to that corner of that triangle, right where the inner line meets the triangle, and drill a hole straight through. Don't want to exceed it. Do it in the front and in the back. Okay, I do it. Okay, so I got all corners. There's triangle and then inside line. Now we're going to flip the countertop over, and we're going to draw a line from the inside of this hole to the inside. I'll show you. Now we got corner. The outside of the hole, make a line, and then we're going to whack them all. Outside of the holes. Now all we gotta do is cut her out, and we'll have a sink. So I'll use my circular saw to connect the dots, but then I'll use my scroll saw. I'll use this saw to finish this little mark, especially in the tight corners. Cool. I might even have to use the scroll back in the back because it's such a small area there to work with, but we'll go with what we got. Now see how well my sink fits. It's a little tight, but that's okay because I'd rather be tight than loose. Feel me? It's just the corners. This corner over here is barely catching it. You know, I'd rather be under than over. So, round this corner out a little bit. Looks good. I think that corner back there is a little too fat too. Just a little bit. Just need to trim these corners up a little bit. I think this corner here is too fat. Perfect, man. Perfect fit. Perfection. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I got the same gap in the back as I do in the front. Yes. I can put my finger back there, wipe down, and I got the same gap. I can feel it. I can feel it. So, now it's perfect time to mount the sink to the, you know what I mean? Cool beans, no gaps, no rubs, no tears. Good to go. So it'll take me one or two of these. I'll put one on each side and then flip the sink over or the countertop over and put all the other ones in there. Cool. So the little mushroom goes in the hoe. And like I said, it's got the grooves on it. Just pinch the grooves, put it where you want. It pinches outside. These little fingers get over the outside. I like to put at least 3 in the back, minimum. That way you can pinch it down real good in the back. Always make sure I got them on the front and the side for sure. I'm gonna tighten this one up. Remember, the other thing we had to do is cut the countertop down. 1 inch. Got to cut 1 inch off the end of this. So now I got to cut 1 inch off the end of this countertop. So I'll mark it off. There's some glue back here. Messed me up a little bit. But it's not really all that super precise because it's against the wall. And it's going to get caulked. And I have some ink caps laying over here that will cover it up. So if I'm a little off, it's not a big deal. I don't sweat small stuff. Using, this is a DeWalt M12. Or my guys, it's a D12, baby. So what I like to do when I'm cutting countertops is I like to start on the backsplash. It really doesn't matter. On this circumstances, because I'm at the end, I'm gonna start on this end and work that way. And you always wanna cut it upside down. Because if you try to cut it from the other side, it'll chip really bad. So, cool beans? Now that, my friend, is a straight cut. Woohoo! I've done this, man, for 30 years, so, you know, cutting the countertops like, you know, sneezing. It just comes natural. Let's stick it in the hole, man. This is only a trial fit because I still got both the faucet to put in, both drains, all that stuff to put in. So right now I'm just doing a dry fit. Oh, that's right. I got that front lip. Those, yeah, they're catching. So I'm gonna mark them real quick where those sink mounts are hitting the cabinet. I'm gonna mark them real quick, and then we'll wrap them out or clean them up. Okay, cheap metal. So you can see where my mark is, right there. See the mark? There it is. See the mark? There's 3 marks all the way across. Those marks, it's where this is hitting. So all I gotta do is just round it out. It's just round it out a little bit. Cool. That's it, man. One countertop install. Just barely got a gap there. That's about where that caulk was. Down here, just caulk gap. Don't know what I'm gonna do about that back there though, because this countertop sets shorter than the old one. Yeah, we might have to come up with some kind of pretty piece of trim to run across there. I think there's some like real tiny, like 1.25 inch, maybe a 1 inch. I think it's about a 1.25 trim, like real tiny profile. We can get to put on the back of that. I'm not tearing the towel out. It looks good. You know what I'm saying? We'll run that real tiny piece of trim right along the top of that and fill that gap in. We'll use power grab. You'll see. It'll look fine. It'll just give it like a little, it's not quarter round. It's like flat, and then it's got a little edge to it. So, like I'm trying to sell it to you or something. Anyways, now we do the other side. It's no big deal. We'll just pop and play. This one over here is not a problem. It's just unscrew it, cut the caulk across the back just to break it loose, pop it out. And I have more than enough, because I couldn't buy this at they didn't have it in short pieces. They only had it in 8-footers. So now that the sink's installed, one really super important thing you need to know, that when you go to re-secure the countertop to the cabinets, measure the width or the distance between the corner brackets and the bottom of the countertop. Say that's 1 inch. Do not exceed 1.5 inches screw, because if you go a little bit more than 1.5 inches, what'll happen is you'll blow right through the countertop. Don't want to do that, because the old countertop set up higher, right? So the new countertop sets lower. So if I tried to use the same screws that they used to mount to this, I would blow right through the countertop, and that makes for a bad day. So that's the right way to put a countertop in, with the sink. I like that sink too. I think it's about 1 inch deeper than the old one. Plus we'll put a new faucet in here with a sprayer on it, because the old one didn't have sprayer. I think it looks all right. Looks good. I'm done for today. Tomorrow we'll work on putting that side in, and we got drywall repairs. I think I showed you. Let's go look. We got this drywall to tear out. Got to push that up, if not cut it out and put a new piece in the ceiling. It's got a bad bow right there. And then where they put the new breaker box in, which is massively bigger than it should be. That's like a 200 amp service. Anyways, we will spray foam this in, top and bottom, and then we'll mud it. And you can see where it blew through the other side. It's on both sides, but this is the apartment that I painted, that I sprayed, used the power roller. I think it looks good.
You wanna praise God.